Yeah, hey, if you're a guest or you're checking things out for the very first time, welcome. My name's Matt. I'm one of the pastors here, and we're pumped that you're here for the most wonderful time of the year, the season of perpetual hope. But my question is, why are we actually here? I mean, why are we really here? Is it because of tradition? Maybe, and that's a good thing. Or maybe it's, you know what, Matt, I'm here because somebody told me I've got to be here. All right. Or I've got this friend that just keeps inviting me. They won't leave me alone, so I showed up to get them off my back. It's cool, I get that too. Or Matt, the reason I'm here is I got stuck in the turn lane on 66 and wound up in the parking lot. Like, that's how I got here. Which, by the way, that actually has happened before. Or are we here because we know what we get to celebrate? Now, there's far more to the Christmas story that I'm willing to bet we either maybe don't realize or sometimes we unintentionally just ignore. But when you see the entire story, it just becomes that much more awesome. There is so much more to this story than shepherds and angels. There's so much more to the story than no room in the inn or keeping their watch over flocks by night or a baby in a manger. There's so much more to it. And when you see the full story, when you understand what's going on, man, Christmas becomes that much more powerful, so much more powerful. But I'm willing to bet the whole story, it's probably not what you would expect. And what we're going to get into tonight, probably not what you would expect either. Now, whenever you think about Christmas, some of the things that come to mind first and foremost are, Silent Night and peace on earth, goodwill towards men, which are great. But have you ever stopped to ask why? I mean, why? Like, we usually give those things no second thought when we think about Christmas, but have we ever stopped and thought about, well, why can we talk about Silent Night? Where does peace and hope actually come from? Because there's a lot of times I don't feel like there's a lot of peace and hope. Where does that stuff come from? Let me set it up this way. Do you see what I see as a classic Christmas song? Classic Christmas song. I mean, really, it doesn't get much better than Bing Crosby singing Christmas songs. But that song is much more than just a Christmas song. What if that song is actually a question to you? It's a question to you about Christmas. What if God is asking you, do you see what I see? I mean, we all have our own perspectives about Christmas. We all see it from different individual angles. But once you see Christmas from God's perspective, that's when it gets seriously powerful. Let me try to show you. There are all kinds of awesome traditions that come with Christmas, like movies and music, presents, parties, decorations, good food, hopefully some great football. And maybe a very underappreciated tradition on Christmas is how dads respond to Christmas. Like, seriously, this is unnoticed most of the time, but actually dads are a lot more excited and anticipate Christmas morning just as much as the kids do. Sometimes we act like we're tired or that we're not interested in this or that it's just really too loud. We act like that, but here's what's really going on with a lot of dads. We wake up in the morning, we watch our kids start to tear into Christmas presents, and dads are wide-eyed with anticipation thinking, I wonder what we got them. Yeah, it's true. We're admitting it. Moms, God bless you. God bless you. We thank you so much for this. Yeah, you can clap for that, absolutely. There are so many times where dads have to have it explained to them by moms. Here's what's actually going on. Here's where these gifts came from. I know tomorrow I'm going to be surprised by some things. I know what's going to happen. I mean, that's one of the very most underappreciated Christmas traditions are dads and their anticipation. I'm sure you've got some traditions that you're going to do tonight and all day tomorrow and into next week. But there are some traditions that are actually torture. Let me give you one example. Waiting to open Christmas presents on Christmas morning until after you read the Christmas story. Now, you might think that's funny from somebody like me saying that, but I have personal experience around this. Let me tell you why. This is something my family did when I was a kid. We would wait until after we read the Christmas story. Great intentions, awesome intentions, but this is like waterboarding an 8-year-old. This is what it is. The kids come storming down the stairs like a herd of elephants, and they're told immediately, stop, do not touch. You can only look. If you touch, you get mom wrath. Don't touch, and you have to wait until mom and dad finally get around to reading the Christmas story. Can be good intentions. It's just torture. So let me help you out. I want to help you avoid that conflict. How about I just read the Christmas story right now? Okay, let's just read it right now. All right, here's the Christmas story. Here it is. Then I witnessed in heaven an event of great significance. I saw a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon beneath her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. She was pregnant, and she cried out because of the labor pains and the agony of giving birth. Then I witnessed in heaven another significant event. I saw a large red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns, with 7 crowns on his heads, and his tail swept away 1/3 of the stars in the sky and threw them to the earth. He stood in front of the woman as she was about to give birth, ready to devour her baby as soon as it was born. She gave birth to a son who was to rule the nations with an iron rod. Is this a Christmas story that you normally read? Is this it? Me too. There's more though. Then there was a battle, there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon and his angels. And the dragon lost the battle, and he and his angels were forced out of heaven. This great dragon, the ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan, the one deceiving the whole world, was thrown down to the earth with all his angels. Then I heard a loud voice shouting across the heavens, "It has come at last! Salvation and power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Christ. For the accuser of our brothers and sisters has been thrown down to the earth, the one who accuses them before God day and night. And they have defeated him by the blood of the Lamb and by their testimony. And they did not love their lives so much that they were afraid to die. Therefore, rejoice, O heavens, and you who live in the heavens, rejoice. But terror will come on the earth and the sea, for the devil has come down to you in great anger, knowing that his time is little." And the dragon was very angry at the woman and declared war against the rest of her children, all who keep God's commandments and maintain their testimony for Jesus. And the dragon stood on the sand of the sea. Merry Christmas. How many of you have ever had a Christmas card with that on it? Yeah, none of us. So what in the world is going on? Matt, I think you might have got the wrong Christmas story, bro. Like a red dragon trying to devour a baby. When did Christmas become rated R? Like an iron rod? War in heaven? And I've never seen anything like that. I've seen crazy Christmas movies, but I've not seen something like that. Because that's what God sees. That's Revelation chapter 12. John's the one writing this. John was one of the 12 disciples. He was almost kind of like Jesus' best friend. And God gives him a vision of what God saw during Christmas and what it actually meant. So I think the obvious question then for us is, cool, what does that mean? Like, what's this all about? And what's with this whole red dragon? Like, what's going on here? Well, the red dragon is Satan, and the baby being born is Jesus. And it doesn't seem like a very fair fight at the beginning. I mean, you got a dragon with 7 heads versus a pregnant woman in labor. Now, I know you should never mess with a woman in labor. That doesn't seem like a fair fight. I mean, who would you be betting on? The dragon's there waiting to devour the baby, and you've seen that part of the story before. You've probably heard that part of the story before. Even if you think I'm crazy and this is all brand new to you, if you've ever heard the Christmas story out of Matthew 1, which a lot of us have, you've heard that part. Here's what was going on. Right after Jesus was born in Matthew 1, King Herod declares and has all of the boys in the entire region, 2 years old and younger, he has all of them killed. Mass genocide. That was the dragon working through King Herod trying to kill Jesus. Kill Jesus as soon as he was born. But he failed. It didn't work. Jesus was born. So if you were here last week, a great illustration of Christmas is actually D-Day. I know we don't really associate World War II with Christmas, but it's a great illustration. When the Allies took a beachhead in Normandy on June 6, 1944, that really was the beginning of the end of World War II. They had come, victory was secured, they were still fighting, and that's the same thing with Christmas. Because of Christmas, the war is already won. Like D-Day, Christmas is the beginning of the end. But just because there was success on D-Day didn't mean the fighting was over. Now, there's still a lot of fighting still to come. The Nazis set up all different kinds of defensive positions all across Europe trying to stop the Allied advance. One of the things that they set up was something called the Siegfried Line. It was an obstacle. It slowed down the Allied advance, but it did not stop it. And it did not stop them from winning. One of the things that the Nazis used in that line were something that they called dragon's teeth. were these concrete pyramids that were set up in a line, and the purpose of them was to stop tanks. The idea was if we can stop the tanks, that will make troop advancement much, much more difficult. The problem was the line wasn't complete in some spots, or in other areas it was constructed pretty poorly, and then on top of that, it could be breached just with a sustained attack. That's what happened. The dragon's teeth slowed down victory, but did not stop it. The exact same thing applies to the dragon in Revelation 12. That red dragon in the Christmas story also has teeth too. It says it right there in verse 9 and 10. The great dragon, the ancient serpent called the devil or Satan, the one deceiving the whole world, was thrown down. For the accuser of our brothers and sisters has been thrown down to earth, the one who accuses them before God day and night. So in Hebrew, Satan means accuser. That's what it means. Satan means accuser. That's exactly what he does. It's exactly what he does. And he has teeth too. That dragon, its teeth, deception and accusations. It's always been his play, and he'll still go at you with these today. He's the deceiver of the world, Revelation 12 says. And he's really good at it. Whenever someone else is trying to deceive somebody else, usually they're trying to make sure that that person doesn't see something so that they can mislead them. This is the first thing that Satan ever did to mankind. All the way back in Genesis chapter 3, the Garden of Eden, Satan deceived Adam and Eve to making them believe that they could be like God, that they could be their own God. And that deception is still alive and well. Today we call that deception humanism. That's what it is. Or he will try to deceive you into thinking that there is no God, or that all gods are really necessarily, they're kind of the same thing. All religions really lead to the same place. Or he will try to deceive you into thinking, just be a good person. That's all it takes, whatever that means. Or he will try to deceive you into believing that the greatest possible good is for you to do whatever feels good and feels right to you in the moment. Anything else, that's just repressive. Or he will try to deceive you into thinking that you have your own truth. Like, we all have our own experiences for sure, but you don't have your own truth. I don't have my own truth. My truth, your truth. There are no possessive pronouns in front of truth. It's not subjective. There is only the truth. It's objective. So with all of this deception that's in the world, all the deception that sometimes the air we breathe is deception, what is it that the dragon is trying to make sure that you don't see, and what's he trying to mislead you from? The answer to that is actually very simple. Jesus said it very clearly in John 14:6. He said, I am the way, the truth, the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. I'm the way, I'm the truth, I'm the life. Nobody comes to the Father except through me. The dragon knows that's true. He knows it. But he doesn't want you to know it. So his deception is meant to be a distraction from the way, the truth, and the life so that you'll miss it. And then hopefully you end up following something or someone else. His deception leads to his destination. That's exactly what he wants because he's mad. Verse 12 said he came very angry because he knows his time is short. That's a great verse. He knows he's on the Titanic and he wants to take as many people as he can with him. So he's going to try to destroy you. He's going to try to tempt you to destroy yourself. It's a very popular one in the Western world. And he's going to try to deceive you. Deception is an attack on the truth. It's meant to manipulate you. And then the last option that he has, this is the dragon's favorite tactic. It always has been. Accusations. Here's why. Whenever you're accused of something, almost immediately your initial reaction is going to be fear. Like, even if it's not true what you're being accused of, you're going to be afraid, well, somehow is this actually true? Is it somehow true about me? Or even if it's not true, well, what's going to happen to me because I've been accused of this, fill in the blank. Then you get stuck in fear from that. Either usually you'll go and try to hide, or you will just go on a rampage trying to prove that you're not what you've been accused of. So now you've been distracted from your true identity. If your faith is in Jesus, if you're following Jesus, your identity is an adopted son or daughter of God, and God has declared you innocent of all accusations that have been made against you by the enemy. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't consequences to the things that we do. There are. All of us face consequences for the things that we think about, the things that we say, and the things that we do. But all of these accusations made against you by the dragon are an indictment against your identity. Your identity, an adopted son or daughter of God, being declared innocent of all accusations by God, not because of what you've done, not because you've proven yourself. You've been declared innocent simply because what was done for you on the cross. The cross defeats the accuser. Like, that's the great news about Christmas, is that the cross defeats the accuser. But the dragon's not done. He's gonna keep on accusing you. He's not just gonna throw up his hands and say, well, I guess I lost, let me pack up and go home. No, he's gonna keep coming after you. Why? Because it works. It's pretty effective. Whenever we get accused, whenever we get deceived, it messes with our heads. So all these accusations are an attack on your identity. He's trying to get you to believe that you are who he says that you are, who he's accusing you of being. Verse 10 said that he accuses you to God, but there's also somebody else that he will accuse you to. Do you know who that is? You. He will accuse you to you, and it sounds like this: you're no good. You don't matter. You're a waste of time and space. You're not enough. Man, you're too far gone. Seriously, you can't be forgiven of that. You know that. Man, you're just going to screw it up again anyway. Man, you know what you've done. You know what you've done. What happens if other people find out about that? What will they say? What will they do? What will they think about you? He does this to everybody. I hate it. And I hate that I listen to it. Here's what his accusations against me sound like. Here's what he says to me. Matt, I know who you are. I know your sin. I know what you've done in the past. I know what you struggle with. You don't deserve to be a leader. You're not a good pastor. How on God's green earth are you, of all people, preaching on Christmas Eve? You're a fraud, bro. You're a fraud. You just want to prop yourself up. You compare yourself to all kinds of people because you're so insecure. That's the dragon's work. To tempt, to deceive, and to accuse. But here's where it gets awesome. This is the great part about Christmas. 1 John 3:8 says, the reason the Son of God appeared, that's Christmas. The reason the Son of God appeared was to destroy the works of the devil. Jesus came to destroy the dragon and everything that he's done. Satan knows that. That's why he's right there waiting at the manger, trying to devour the baby. Why? Because you are at your most vulnerable state as an infant. He's trying to take care of this before it ever happens. It's a preemptive strike, but it doesn't work. Do you want to know what Satan sees on Christmas morning? What he sees in the Christmas story? Satan, the dragon, does not see a baby wrapped in swaddling clothes lying in a manger. That's not what he sees. When Satan looks at the manger, here's what he sees. It's Revelation 19. Behold, a white horse. The one sitting on it is called Faithful and True. And in righteousness he judges and makes war. His eyes are like a flame of fire, and on his head are many diadems, and he has a name written that no one knows but himself. He is clothed in a robe dipped in blood, and the name by which he is called is the Word of God. That's a reference to John 1. And the armies of heaven, arrayed in fine linen, white and pure, are following him on white horses. From his mouth comes a sharp sword, which he will strike down the nations, and he will rule them with an iron rod. He will tread the winepress of the fury of the wrath of God the Almighty. On his robe and on his thigh, he has a name written, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. That's Jesus. Like, how awesome is that? That's what he's going to look like when he comes back. Satan knows this. The dragon knows his time is short. He knows that Christmas is the beginning of the end. So when the dragon sees the manger, the dragon sees this. Not a baby wrapped in swaddling clothes. That's what the dragon sees. So when you think about Christmas, think about how Jesus came as a baby in a manger, but also think about how he's coming back. And he's coming back on a white horse. He's coming back as a conquering king. We call this time of year Advent. Advent just means coming or arrival. That's what it means. We're anticipating the arrival of Jesus. Jesus came as a baby, but there was much more that he came as. Psalm 22, 23, and 24 are sometimes referred to as the shepherd psalms. They describe some of the roles that Jesus will fulfill. In the first one, in Psalm 24, it says that Jesus is going to be a conquering king. Here's what it says. Open up the ancient gates, open up the ancient doors, and let the King of glory come in. Who is the King of glory? The Lord. Strong and mighty, the Lord, invincible in battle. Verse 10, who is the King of glory? The Lord of heaven's armies. He is the King of glory. I love that name for Jesus, the Lord of heaven's armies. How awesome is that? Invincible in battle. Revelation 12 says it this way, he conquered the dragon. It's tied directly to Isaiah 9, probably the most famous Christmas prophecy. For a child to us is born, a son is given, the government will rest on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. His government and its peace will never end. He will rule with fairness and justice from the throne of his ancestor David for all of eternity. The passionate commitment, here it is, of the Lord of heaven's armies will make it happen. Then Psalm 23 describes Jesus as the good shepherd. Like maybe you know this one, or I'm guessing you've probably heard part of it before. It says, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. Famous part. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Sheep are dependent on a shepherd for protection, provision, and guidance. That's what Psalm 23 describes Jesus as. That's what he's going to do. So does Revelation 12. It says the same thing. It said the woman would give birth to a son and he would rule, that's the key word, rule. He would rule the nations with an iron rod. Well, if you take that word rule in the Greek, if you translate it, it means to shepherd. That's what that word means. So he came to shepherd, to feed, to supply the soul's need. And then Psalm 22 describes Jesus as the suffering servant. Verse 1 says, my God, why have you forsaken me? It's exactly what Jesus quoted when he was hanging on the cross. Verse 16 keeps going. How much does this sound like Jesus? They have pierced my hands and my feet. Pierced, nails. Verse 18, they divide my garments among them, and for my clothing they cast lots. That's describing Jesus' crucifixion to a T. It's a prophecy about the crucifixion. And that psalm was written almost 900 years before it happened. Like we all suffer. We all experience suffering in life, in the past, in the future, and maybe you are right now. And there's people in our church right now that are going through some stuff, legit suffering. We live in a broken world. Even though we follow Jesus and our faith is in him, the Son of God, that doesn't mean we are immune from suffering. We're going to. If he did, we're going to also. But the great news is that because Jesus came as the suffering servant, suffering's on the clock. It will end. The great news is that with Jesus, suffering will never have the last word with you. It never will, because of the suffering servant. Revelation 12 said they conquered the dragon by the blood of the Lamb. That's the suffering servant. The blood of the Lamb. The suffering servant came to live a perfect life, the life that you and I were meant to live, but we can't. Like you're not perfect, I'm not perfect. If you are, please feel free to come up here. You're going to do a much better job than I ever will. Like he came to live the perfect life that you and I were meant to, but we can't because of our own sin. He lived that perfect life and then he died a criminal's death as an innocent man so that you and I could be forgiven of our sin and reconciled back to God so that we can live a full life with meaning and purpose, not just for right now in the temporary, but for all of eternity. Eternal life is not something that happens to you after you die. It starts the moment you put your faith in Jesus. And usually the question that will come with this, it's a great question. It's usually, Matt, that sounds cool, awesome, but why did Jesus have to die? I mean, that sounds kind of intense. Why did he have to die? Great question, great question. And the answer is actually pretty simple. The answer is, he didn't have to. He did not have to die for you. He chose to. It's a big difference. He chose to. Why? Because he's the King of glory. Because he's good. Because you're made in the image of God. That means you have intrinsic value. Because he wants you. Because he wants to redeem you. He wants you to be restored. He wants you to follow him. He wants you to live with him in eternity. 3 days after he died, he rose from the dead. This is a historical fact. It's what our faith is built on, this event. Not a doctrine, not an ideology, an actually historical event. He rose from the dead, proving that he's not a lunatic, that he's not a liar. Rising from the dead proves that he is the suffering servant, that he is the good shepherd, and that he will come back as the conquering king. So if you want to be accurate with your nativity scene at home, make sure there is a red dragon smashed underneath the manger. Seriously, it's gonna look weird when people come over, I promise. You're gonna have to explain it. But your nativity scene is not complete unless there is a red dragon smashed. So what's that mean for you right now? Besides updating your decor in your house, what's it actually mean for you right now? First, be encouraged. Like, I know this one's kind of weird. I doubt you expected this coming in on Christmas Eve. Like, I get it. I feel weird kind of talking about it. But be encouraged, especially if you follow Christ. Just remember how awesome this really is. Remember how awesome this is. And no matter what kind of battle that you're in right now, no matter what suffering you're experiencing or what you will experience, remember, the war's already won. Fighting's still going on, but the war's already won, so we can be encouraged. That's what Joy to the World's all about. So be encouraged. Then, second thing, believe. It's time to believe. If you're not a follower of Jesus, everything that I just told you is true. It's all true. So you got to do something with this now. My encouragement to you is to believe that Jesus is God, that he did die, that he did rise from the dead. Believe in your heart and confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and you will be saved, and then be baptized. Baptism is for anyone who's saying, hey, my faith is in Christ. I don't have all the answers. I certainly don't have my life cleaned up, but I'm putting my faith in Jesus and I want to follow him for the rest of my life. Baptism is that very first step. Baptism is a picture of what's happening to you. You're dying to yourself. You're being buried with Christ, buried under the water, and then resurrected as a new creation. We're doing baptisms on Sunday, January 5th. Go to the info center out in the lobby afterwards. Hit up our website. Ask questions out there. If you want to be prayed over, we have people that would love to pray over you, answer questions that you have, and get you connected so you can be baptized. And then the final thing that I would say, be encouraged, believe, be baptized. And this part is for everyone, no matter where you're at. The last piece, build. The end of Revelation 12 is actually connected to the end of Matthew 7. The end of Revelation 12 says this, then the dragon became furious with the woman and went off to make war on the rest of her offspring, on those who keep the commandments of God and hold the testimony of Jesus. And he stood, the dragon, and he stood on the sand of the sea. Like, this is where the Bible gets super cool. And let me try to make this connection for you. The very end of Matthew 7 is the end of the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus' most famous message. He talks about what it means to follow him and how we're meant to live. Here's how Jesus closes out that sermon. He says, everyone who hears these words of mine and does them, that's what Revelation 12 is saying, keeps the commandments of God, holds the testimony of Jesus. That's just another way of saying everyone who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house. But it didn't fall, because it was founded on the rock. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them will be like that foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds beat on that house, and it fell. And great was the fall. Revelation 12 said the dragon went and stood on the sand. Jesus said, don't build in the sand, that it's not a good idea. So don't stand in the sand with Satan. When the floods and the rains and the winds, his attacks, when they beat against you, if you're standing in the sand, you're going to collapse. Instead, build your life on the rock. That's Jesus. Stand on his word because it's true. Do what it says. Follow him. And then when the rain and the floods and the wind, because all of us experience that in life. There's so many of you in right now and this week, you got hit hard by some stuff. Some of you are going to get hit hard next week. You might even get hit hard tomorrow. When, not if, when that stuff comes, when the attacks come, if you're built on the rock, you'll stand firm. You won't collapse. So my question for you, this is just for you as an individual. I want you just to think about this. Where are you standing? You right now, where are you standing? Are you standing on the rock? Or are you standing in sand? And there's no other option. What's cool is on January 5th, we're actually starting a new series walking through the Sermon on the Mount. We're going to walk through all of that, like what it means to follow Christ, what this looks like, how do we actually live. So come back on Sunday the 29th and then again on the 5th. Jesus said, the famous line, he said, "Come to me all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you," what's the word? Rest. How many of you at some point in this last year in 2024 have felt weary or heavy laden in anything? Raise your hand. Every hand should be up, by the way. I'm setting you up, okay? I'm holding my hand up, not just to set you up. I've been weary. I've been heavy laden. And he says, "Come to me and I will give you rest." What he's saying is, I will give you a silent night of the soul. Because of Christmas, all of the accusations, all of the deceptions that get thrown in your face, they have been silenced. At the very least, they fall on deaf ears. They fall on deaf ears with God. So if that's true, all the accusations and all the deceptions, shouldn't they fall on deaf ears with us? If you hear anything from me tonight, hear this. Your soul can be silent. There's so much noise out there. But because of Christmas, your soul can be silent. All is calm because the dragon's been defeated. He's still fighting, but it's a defeated power. So even though he's still fighting, remember this, the war is already won. That's Christmas. The war is already won, and that's great news. So what we get to do is we get to light candles to celebrate that victory. So if you got a candle when you came in, grab that now and go ahead and stand up with me. This is my favorite part of the service every year. Is we get to light these candles representing Jesus as the light of the world coming into the world. And the light didn't just come into the world, we actually possess the light. That's great news. We get to celebrate because the light came into the world, we can have a silent night of the soul. So we're gonna light these, I wanna pray over you, and then we're gonna worship the King a little bit more. Father, thank you so much for being a God who does what he says. You're faithful to your word. Thank you for sending your son. We had no hope for redemption. We had no hope for rescue or restoration or forgiveness, but you said, no, I got this because I love you and I want you. And because I'm the King of glory, because I'm good, because I live up to my word, I'm gonna do this. My son is gonna live the life that you're meant to live. He's gonna die for you. He's gonna raise from the dead so that you can have a silent night of the soul, so that you can have victory over the dragon. And one day we're gonna live together in paradise. But until that point, we still get to live with you right now. A life full of meaning and purpose. So thank you for that, God. Jesus, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming as a baby, and we look forward to you coming back as a conquering king. In Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen.